A Back to the Future DeLorean would look so good with my Lionel and Williams trains, but who has $104 to spend on one little car? This one is by Mini Champs, and it's in the right scale, and the detail is just incredible. But there is no way I could ever justify spending over $100 for one little car. $75 for this Vitesse model isn't much better. And even if you found one for $60, that's still so much money. We're getting closer to my price range, but this model lacks a lot of detail that the others had. I like a little bit of detail. I like it to look somewhat realistic. Luckily for me, I bought one of these new a few years ago, maybe 20 years ago, and this one was only $5.95 at the time, which is quite a bit cheaper than $17.99 on eBay. This one is even mint on a blister pack card. But if you didn't need the card and you knew you were going to play with it right away, you could save $1 and buy one of these loose at the Universal Studio Store, which is what I did. This car has very little detail. It's a pull back, wind up, scoot across the room kind of toy. But I think something can be made of this. The black plastic that replaces the clear windshield is meant to hide the wind-up mechanism inside the car. Even when this was new, I was hopeful that I could someday find a way to add an interior and add a windshield. So all along in the same box that the DeLoreans were stored in was this Lotus Esprit. It reminded me of the DeLorean because of the color, and also because of the gray interior. I think the car from Back to the Future had a gray interior, and the windshield looks about the same size as the one from the DeLorean model. So this is the first time I took it apart, and I was hopeful that this could be somehow cut down and made to fit, but it's actually just a little too narrow. It doesn't fill out all the space between those A-pillars. The interior is a different story though. There's hope for that. I think with a little bit of trimming of some of the plastic that sticks out, this could be made to fit and represent the light gray interior of Doc Brown's Back to the Future DeLorean. The width is now just about perfect. It's snug, but it'll fit. But that parcel shelf behind the seats is sticking up just a little too high, and I know that black base from the original model won't fit because of these pegs here. So the pegs need to go, and some of that parcel shelf needs to be trimmed away too. With the base and the interior trimmed to fit, I can glue these seat backs in a more upright position. After the glue dries, I'm going to give them a little bit more interior detail with a thin wash of black paint. And it's time to move on to the exterior. So with a lot of my models, I like to clean them up in the sink and give them a little bit of wet sanding. The paint on this car originally was not very well applied or very thickly applied. A can of silver Rust-Oleum does the job of making it look like stainless steel because all DeLoreans have a stainless steel body. This turned out pretty good. It looks more like aluminum than stainless steel, but it's still a metal. I'm using a little bit of acrylic black craft paint. It's been diluted, and the black should adhere to the low-lying areas in the model. I'll come back with a towel after this has dried just a little tiny bit and wipe off the areas that stand out. Those will remain silver, and the recessed areas will hold some of that black paint. It will bring out the details, make them stand out from what was otherwise just a solid silver model. It's a technique that a lot of people that build model tanks and airplanes use to bring out detail that would be hidden by a monochromatic paint scheme, I guess you'd say. It works well here. I'll tell you ahead of time, I'm pretty happy with the way this comes out. Once you begin wiping away the excess black paint, and the silver paint stays because it's not water-based, you can begin to see some of the little tiny details that were made in this casting. It's actually a pretty good model. It was just not living up to its potential when it was all one color. The Mr. Fusion reactor needs to be painted white, of course. I think Doc Brown showed up with that at the end of the first movie. When everything has had a chance to dry, I'll give it a nice clear coat, and then it will be time for some reassembly. The interior gets the same treatment to bring out the details. Instead of a glossy clear coat, this will get a coat of matte or flat clear coat to make everything just kind of blend together like a soft gray leather interior would look like. It wouldn't be shiny, it would be a flat color. Now that I have an interior for the DeLorean that fits well, I don't want to hide it behind this black plastic windshield. I have this old box. I forget what came in it, but the plastic is just stiff enough that when cut with scissors, I think I can make it work as a new clear windshield for this time machine. A little bit of masking tape over the lines of the black windshield will show me where to make my cuts later with the scissors. There are a lot of things around here that I could throw away, but I'm glad I saved this box. A few drops of gel superglue are all that's needed to hold the windshield in place. In Star Trek, Kirk and Spock say that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Well, this is kind of the opposite. So far, I've already sacrificed a Lotus Esprit, and now I'm about to sacrifice a perfectly good Renault Clio because I like the wheels of this, and it more closely matches the design of a DeLorean's real wheels. The body count is adding up. 2 cars have been sent to the automotive graveyard already, just to make one decent-looking DeLorean. But come on, it's Back to the Future. I was completely surprised at how well these wheels fit in the front of the DeLorean. No modifications were needed at all. Now the back wheels have this wind-up mechanism, and since I added the interior to the DeLorean, I need to chop away most of this and try to keep the bottommost frame, which I've already checked. It actually fits almost perfectly into the rear area of the base of the Universal Studios DeLorean. Pretty much everything above the axle needs to be removed, and then I'll have enough clearance to attach this to the base. Superglue works really well. This is the gel superglue, which I've found works so much better, and it actually sets up quicker than the liquid form. The gel also helps fill in any little spaces that might be left over, although that's not really an issue here. It's surprising just how perfectly the parts from that little Renault model fit into this DeLorean. The axles line up perfectly, the spacing is good, and the rim pattern is very close to what you would have found on an original DeLorean. There were quite a few steps involved in making this slightly more detailed version of Doc Brown's car, but I think it was worth it. And I'm going to leave this old price tag on there as a reminder of how this car began its life. Just a simple pullback, wind-up toy that kids would shoot across the hardwood floors of their homes after visiting a theme park. The original is nice, but it lacked something. And I think my version is an improvement. I would say it's an improvement. I like it a lot better, and I am going to use this on my train layout. At some point in the future, I plan on taking an O-gauge Williams E60 and converting that into a Back to the Future train, a locomotive. It will include some LED lighting, some custom graphics, and body modifications to make it resemble, in some way, this DeLorean time machine. And I will probably tow this on a flat car behind that Williams E60. So until next time, this has been Bob's Workshop. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.